All right, we're throwing Jessica back in the hot seat at Florida Kids, and this is an awesome Q&A with the owner where we talk about different topics. And one of the topics that we've been talking a lot about is this word flexibility. And if I know anything about flexibility, I know that that word means so much to so many different people, and there's like 20 million different definitions. So, Jessica, can you talk to me about flexibility at work as an SLP? And maybe what that actually looks like, right? Maybe reference your like gym scenario or your working space scenario. Tell us a little bit about what it actually means to be a flexible SLP and how that plays out in the workplace.
Thanks, Jen. I'm happy to be here. So flexibility, which an interesting side note, therapists have asked me over the years what traits or qualities are most important for a therapist,
Mm,
and critical thinking and flexibility is always my answer. Because once you have a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree in communication sciences and disorders, you have the base knowledge about what you're going to be doing, but the personality trait of flexibility could not be more needed in this
mm,
space, especially in a school-based setting. With a school, as much as you have some parameters of what life is going to look like day to day, within those parameters, you have no idea what you're walking into. Um, I don't know how to say that in any more honest way. Uh, because within a school, every day there is change. Even in some of our most structured schools, things still change. You'll still have a testing schedule change. You'll still have a student having a really bad day and needing quiet space. You'll still have admin will be out and that will throw the entire day off, and the schedule within the school will even change that day.
mm,
So, flexibility as an SLP is essential. Some of the personal examples, I know I've walked in many times to classrooms and realized that my room is being used for testing. My room is being used as a calm down space. My room, or not even my room is an overstatement. My space is being
mhm,
used for something else. We as a company have had years where we work in different physical locations. We have had days where we've had to work outside. We've worked on the playground. We've worked in the gym. We've worked in a cafeteria. We've worked in the hallway. The number of places that we work as therapists is endless. And that's where that flexibility and critical thinking comes in, because you have to be able to switch in your brain of knowing the goals you're working on with the student, where you're going to be working on that, and then how you adjust to work on the student's goals in the new environment. And when you have a group working on language and end up working outside, how do you do that? Do you take a
mhm.
with you and you're basing everything on a book? Do you turn to the playground and work on following directions on the playground, which ends up being really fun if you have the right students? Do you go hunting for bugs to talk about the different characteristics of different bugs and being able to describe them using the right language and building the right grammatical structures? So there's endless opportunities for how you put what you're working on into the new space that you're in. And articulation or social language are also able to be worked on in that way too. But it takes an incredible amount of brain energy to adjust what you're going to do to the new space that you're in. And that's why I think flexibility is so important, because if you struggle with flexibility, then those small changes can derail your entire day. And that's not what we want. I don't want therapists who feel exhausted at the end of the day because they had to change physical locations 3 times and that zaps them. Um, as a profession as a whole, there are places that you can have stability in your profession. And if you want things to be more structured, those settings can be awesome. But if you love the change, if you love not knowing what you're walking into, which I personally really enjoy that piece, because you never really know with kids what you're walking into. And I love meeting children where they're at with different goals, meeting the school where they're at with what they need from me in a given week. And that to me is really fun. So, if you enjoy that piece, you're okay with flexibility, you're okay with thinking critically, then I think that the school environment is such an amazing place for therapists to work in. And when you have the right support of like, hey, what did you do when they were testing and you couldn't access your classroom? And listening to what therapists will say is amazing to get to hear their input, because there are some super creative things that come out of those therapy sessions.
I bet. And I feel like, if like critical thinking and flexibility are key,
Mhm,
especially probably to what you look for in an ideal candidate to work in the schools and represent Florida kids, being able to know like making changes on the fly is okay. And just that we're going to walk in with that mindset. So super awesome for you to share that and that insight of like what it actually means to be flexible.
mhm. Thanks.